Hey there. Good day, good morning, good afternoon. Hope that you're doing well. My name is Cyreta Laws-Frumau. I am a performance and mindset coach with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And today I am going through the book, Think and Grow Rich. So I've been doing it for the past several days, and we are still on chapter 7, wrapping up chapter 7 today. And my main reason for going through this book is because it's a classic. Napoleon Hill interviewed over 500 or more men who were successful at the time during the Great Depression. So this was in the 1930s. And these men shared with him some success tactics and principles that we are applying in our life and in our business. So we're on chapter 7, and it's a 6th step towards riches. Additionally, and also very important for me and personal to me, is that my mentor, Bob Proctor, was recommended this book by his mentor, Ray Stanford. And he read it for approximately 60 years. So he was reading it every single day since this book changed his life. My intention and my hope is that you will find through the principles in this book, inspiration, that you will take action towards your desire, towards your dreams, so that you can make a difference in your life, but also the life of your family and your loved ones and every single person that you come in contact with. So yes, so we are wrapping up chapter 7, and this is the 4th part of chapter 7. And the three main sections that we're going to talk about today is 1, the 30 major causes of failure. 2, taking inventory of ourselves, very scary, but necessary. And the 3rd part is where to find opportunities. So where do you find your opportunity? Okay, let's get into it. This starts on page 185 of my book. And here Napoleon speaks about, the 30 major causes of failure. Additionally, before I get into that, I want to point out on page 183 to 184, here he gives an idea of how you can put a capital value to your services. And he has a formula to it. And the formula that he says is that your brain is worth much more than money. So the money that you are making, the income that you're making, your brain is worth a lot more. And the calculation that he gives here is that you should multiply your annual income by 16 2/3. So how much are you earning today? Multiply that by 16 2/3. And you will get the real value or the capital value for your services. And he says money rents for 6% per annum, and money is worth no more than brains. It's worth much less. So I thought that was also pretty interesting. So you can find that formula on page 184. Okay, so the 30 major causes of failure. And if you notice for this chapter, I'm reading more directly from the book because there's nothing to really paraphrase. I think just exactly what he's saying is exactly it, So the 30 major cause. Napoleon starts out this section by pointing out that it's really sad that 98% of the several thousands of men and women that he analyzed were classed as failure. And what he's saying is that the system of education, the education system that we have actually permitted 98% of people to go through life as failures. Napoleon also had a definition for success, right? And he said that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So the thing that you want, whatever your desire is, you're successful if you have accomplished it. And when you look at your education, the school system, did it really prepare you to be successful in what you wanted? I think most persons go through school as well, not knowing what they want. So it's pretty difficult. By the time they leave school, they're still trying to figure it out. I think this is a book that teenagers should read. I don't think it's too difficult to read. I think it's very useful for them to read this book, and just to, have a definite plan to also think about what they want. The 30 causes of failure. Number 1, unfavorable background, hereditary background. And this, he says, so there's like a deficiency in the brain power. But this weakness, you can bridge this with the aid of a mastermind. So there's a solution for that one. The second one, lack of a well-defined purpose in life. And unfortunately, 98 out of every 100 of the persons that he analyzed, they had no such aim. So not having a purpose, not knowing where you're going, not writing it down, actually is a cause for failure. And the third one, lack of ambition. So just being really satisfied with mediocrity, not wanting to go much further than where you are. The fourth one is insufficient education. And though on paper this might seem like it's a handicap, he says, actually, experience has proven that the best educated persons are often those known as self-made or self-educated, because it takes more than a college degree to make one person of education. And actually, my mentor, Bob, he would always say this, because he didn't get much of secondary education. So he didn't really go through the school system, and yet he was very successful in what he did. The fifth one is lack of discipline. So to be disciplined, you need to give yourself a command and follow it. So you have to be in control of yourself, do what you say when you say. The sixth is not being of good health. So overeating food, having the wrong habits of thought, overindulging in sex, lack of proper physical exercise, and improper breathing. The seventh is environmental influences during childhood. The eighth, procrastination. And persons normally procrastinate because they're waiting for the right time to do something, but there is no such time. There is no right time. The time to do it is when you get the idea to do it. And sometimes it might just mean taking a baby step towards the thing that you want. The ninth is lack of persistence. So persons are normally good starters, but poor finishers. And we've seen several examples of successful men that throughout this book who were successful because they were persistent, because they did not give up on the first sign of failure. The 10th is a negative personality. The 11th, lack of controlled sexual urge. The 12th, a uncontrolled desire for something for nothing. The 13th, lack of well-defined power of decision. And he says indecision and procrastination are twin brothers. The 14th is one of the 6 basic fears, and we will discuss that in a later chapter. The 15, wrong selection of mate in marriage. 16, overcaution or undercaution. So overcaution or undercaution is also cause for failure. 17, wrong selection of associates in business. 18, superstition and prejudice. 19, wrong selection of a vocation. 20, lack of concentration or effort. 21, habit of indiscriminate spending. So he says to form the habit of systematic savings by putting aside a definite percentage of your income. 22, lack of enthusiasm. 23, intolerance, so having a closed mind, whether it's And he says the most damaging form of intolerance are those connected with religion, racial, and political differences of opinion. 24th, intemperance, and normally connected to eating, strong drink, or sexual activities. 25, inability to cooperate with others. 26, possession of power that was not acquired through self-effort. 27, intentional dishonesty. 28, egotism and vanity. 29, guessing instead of thinking. So it's actually a lazy way, you know, so you guessed instead of going through the proper channels to acquire the fact to make an informed decision. So you can think through what your decision will be. And the last is lack of capital. So lack of capital. And these are the 30 major causes. And he said it will be helpful if you can induce someone who knows you well to go over the list with you, because maybe if you're going over it, you won't be as maybe honest with yourself, or maybe and someone else can see you differently from how you see yourself, and that might prove to be more beneficial if someone went over it with you. Okay, so that's the first part. The second one is to take inventory, you said, and he did this quote, which is like age old, and I know it very well. It says, "Man, know thyself." The other part that I know from this, it says, "Man, know thyself, and you will know God." Because we're made in the image and likeness of God, right? So know yourself. He says, before you start to negotiate for a readjustment of salary in your present position or seek employment elsewhere, be sure that you're worth more than you now receive. Your value is established entirely by your ability to render useful service or your capacity to induce others to render such service. And that's on page 192. Then on page 193 to 195, he gives a list of questions how you can take inventory of yourself. And he advised that you do an annual self-analysis at the end of the year so that it will help you to plan better for the next year. So, you know, New Year's resolution. And you can go through these. I will just read through them quickly. 1, have I attained the goal which I established as my objective for this year? Have I delivered the best quality service of which I'm capable? Have I delivered service in the greatest possible quantity? Have I operated in the spirit of harmony? Have I been in the habit of procrastinating, which would have decreased my efficiency? Have I improved my personality? Have I been persistent in following my plans? Have I reached decision promptly and definitely? Have I permitted any of the 6 fears to overcome me and decrease my efficiency? Have I been overcautious or undercautious? Have I been pleasant or unpleasant in my relationships? Have I dissipated any of my energy through lack of concentration or of effort? Have I been open-minded or intolerant in my connections? In what way have I improved my ability to render service? Have I been intemperate in any of my habits? Have I expressed openly or secretly egotism? And if you notice, these are all linked to what we discussed before, which is from the major causes of failure. They're linked to it. Has my conduct induced my associates to respect me? Have my opinions and decisions been based on guesswork or accuracy of analysis and thought? Have I budgeted my time, my expenses, and my income wisely? So how much time have I spent in devoted How much time have I devoted to unprofitable effort? How may I rebudget my time? Have I been guilty of any conduct which has not been approved by my conscience? In what ways have I rendered more service? Have I been unfair to anyone? If I had been the purchaser of my own services for this year, would I be satisfied with my purchase? Am I in the right vocation? And if not, why not? Has the purchaser of my services been satisfied with my service? If not, why not? What is my present rating on the fundamental success or failure? Those are the 28 questions you can, I think it's good for you to just look at them and ask yourself, you don't have to spend, a long amount of time, but just go through and see how well you score and what you can improve. And the final thing that I want to talk about is when he talks about where to find opportunities. And where can you find opportunities? Well, according to Napoleon, a capitalistic system, because it has been organized in such a way that you can have the conveniences and freedom. So freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom to apply for any job that you want, freedom of faith. If you live in a country where you can have these freedoms, then you are in a place where you can find the right opportunities. Of course, in this book, he spoke a lot about the United States, but a lot has changed since then, and a lot more countries are able to provide these opportunities to a lot of us, So Napoleon says on 2010 to step up to the front, select what you want, create your plan, put the plan into action, and follow through persistence. So if you are able to, if you don't have a dictator in the country that you're living, then you can indeed step up to the plate, make your plans, and go for what you want. Take action, follow up with persistence. So do you have freedom of speech? Do you have freedom of deed? Do you have the freedom to render useful services in return for riches? So do you have the freedom to set up a business? If you do, then there are in place systems and mechanisms that can help you to move towards your goal. Last but not least, on page 2012, in closing, Napoleon said, during the Great Depression, we went through 6 discouraging years where fear was in the saddle and faith was on the ground. And we cannot forget how ruthless the law of economics exacted its toll from both the rich and the poor, the weak, the strong, the old, and the young. We shall not wish to go through another such experience. Now, there are talks going on of a depression going on, but what I would like to remind you is that this book was written in the 1930s when there was a Great Depression going on. So I think it's not so much to focus, we are aware of what's going on in our world, but focus more on your goal and to look for those ideas and to think, how can I be of more service? How can I improve myself? How can I apply myself? How can I persuade my employer or employee to work with me and apply these principles, apply these tips that he has given in this book. Improve upon them if there are ways that you see that can be improved upon. But it is still very relevant, this chapter. So that is it for us today. We have completed chapter 7, and we will be moving into chapter 8, the chapter on decision, and that's the 7th step towards riches. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you an amazing day. Take care of yourselves, and until my next video,